Welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Jeff. I'm a veterinary dermatologist in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm your doc of the day and your guide through this episode, and I'm here with my closest friends from vet school.
Hey, this is Brandon. I'm a small animal internal medicine specialist in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Hey, this is Adam. I am a relief veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, this is Chris. I'm a GP in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Fantastic. And then we would like to welcome back Dr. Shune Kimura. He's a Japanese board-certified large animal internist pursuing a PhD at the University of Georgia right now. If you haven't already listened, go back to season 1 where we had him on for episodes on career paths and imposter syndrome. Welcome back, Dr. Shune Kimura.
Thanks, guys. Great to be back. Appreciate y'all having me here again.
So good to see you always. And
okay, wait. So instead of your opening, I have a question for y'all that I could ask. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how animals go to vets, people go to the doctor. So where does a boat go when it gets sick?
Where, Shune?
It goes to the dock.
Boo.
Yay! Come on!
Boo.
Yay! Okay, I have to make that up. Okay, so do you know how to make a tissue dance?
No.
Gotta put a little boogie in it, JT.
It's gonna be a long episode. So
I think it's appropriate.
We promised Shune he would do his dad episode, so he jacked my game. So that was
excited. So good. It's so good.
Anyways, for the topic today, we are gonna do a little bit of something interesting. We're going to focus a little bit on dads. Depending on when this was recorded, we're actually technically recording around Father's Day, but it'll air long after. But this will be our official / unofficial episode for the dads. We have touched on general parenthood before with Dr. Ashley Bourgeois in our parenthood episode from season 1. So go back and take a listen to that. But again, today is mostly for the dads. However, shout out to all the hardworking veterinary moms out there. So today we'll get a little bit more on dads and then a little bit more experience with Shune in particular, who is a dad to a whole bunch of children. In fact, I'd say out of the 3 dads on the podcast here today, there are a lot of kids in the house. But let's start with Shune, and then we'll open it up to everybody. So tell us, first of all, how many children you have, and overall, what's your experience being a dad in veterinary medicine?
Okay, so I've got a 5-year-old girl, and I've got twin boys that are a little bit over 2.5. So they'll turn 6 and 3 in late August, early September. And my experience being a dad in vet med. So I'd say that it's a little bit different compared to some of y'all here. I became a dad during my residency, and that was when our eldest was born. And then thereafter, I've been doing my PhD, so I've been a little bit out of clinical practice since 2021. So when it comes to being a dad in vet med and clinical practice, I'd say that was an interesting time in residency. Juggling with one child, and I would say that there are other parents out there that are doing clinical practice with more than one, and I would say that's gotta be quite the feat that they're doing.
Chris, Adam, what about y'all? Give us same question to y'all. How many kids y'all got for the record, and how is it being a dad in vet med?
This is Chris. We've touched on my first being born on the day I took the NAVLE. So in vet school, and then I had my second, about 5 years later, and then I got a third. So we got 3 children in total. And so, no residency or anything afterwards with everybody. It's just been the last 2 were born when I was practicing. But other than that, it's been pretty smooth.
This is Adam. I guess I'm the slacker dad in the group. I only have 2 children. So
there's a standard apparently.
I just want to point out I didn't have a choice between what with 2. It became from 1 to 3.
That's true. Not by choice for Shune, I guess, but So I have a son who in 4 days turns 6 years old, and I have a daughter who is 4 years old. They are roughly about 15 months apart. So pretty close in age, which is a blessing and a curse all in of itself, because it's double the work, but then also they're kind of at the same life stage a lot. So that kind of helps with the flow of things. I don't have any cool stories about my career and when they were born. They weren't born in vet school. They weren't born during residency. I was a general practitioner for both, actually at a different clinic when they were both born, but things went smoothly. I was able to take off a couple of weeks around the time of their birth, and yeah.
Interestingly, so we do have at least a difference or dynamic between like when some of y'all became dads. So Adam in practice became a dad. Shune, you were also graduated and done, but you're in residency, so in a different type of position. And then Chris was like, hey, fourth year's pretty chill, but like, how can I just mix it up a little?
It's not hard enough. Let me add some difficulty.
Yeah, let me take the Navly and then
let me jazz it up.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It was actually Adam's wife that actually Adam and Allison drove Natalie to the hospital because I had to meet them there.
Yep. Yep.
You're right, because you were taking our 8-hour Natalie test. So, but in general, since we've absolutely probably beat that horse to death making fun of you, but would love to hear, Chris, your perspective on like having your first becoming a dad in vet school as a student. Like, how was that for you in general? And then would love to hear Shune and Adam, like, what was it like on the being done and then be like jumping into fatherhood? What was that like for y'all?
So, I mean, honestly, it wasn't bad because after we took the Navly, like we were pretty much just going through our rotation. So there wasn't like a whole lot to like we're studying for boards or anything like that going on. It was just going to the different rotations, which again, those are hard in itself doing depending on what rotation you're on. I mean, I was in internal medicine at the same time I took the Navly and had our kids. So that kind of just like was crazy for one little portion. But then after that, it was Christmas break, I think. And then I had a couple traveling rotations. So that was hard just having to go away. And I went to Charleston for one externship. And then my other one was actually in Auburn in their emergency department. So that kind of helped out being so close to home. But it wasn't bad. And then we moved to Winston and I started my first job. But it was kind of cool. It was my first month. I didn't work for the first month after we graduated. And so I just like binge watched a bunch of TV. And it was just me and my daughter just chilling out on the couch and just hanging out with her for a long time. So that was kind of a cool moment just to hang out with her for a month while now I started working at that point. So that was kind of cool. And then kind of going into where Shune and Adam will get into is my next daughter was born in 2019. And so that was, again, it was kind of more just adding another, I don't know, just getting another kid into there. And it wasn't anything crazier. It just now it went from like, kind of the joke is like one kid is one kid or two kids is 5 kids. And then 3 kids is like 1,000, like something crazy like that. That's how it feels. But, and Shune can attest to that because he went from 1 to 3. So that's kind of a crazy jump. Yeah. Jesus. Like I think if we had twins first, you won't know any different.
Yes. That was clearly planned.
But you don't plan it. I mean, we had friends that had their 4th and 5th were twins. So like, again, that wasn't planned, but again, it happens and it works out and everything's good.
Yeah. When it came to having our first during my residency, I had finished my first year. And so we were expecting her during, at the beginning of the second year of residency. I think one of the blessings about that was, I think it was, we can't, there's not much time that I can have off, but, thankfully there was a little bit of flexibility when it came to planning the clinic schedule so that what basically happened was I had I was given we planned basically a 2-week research block and then a 2-week vacation block, sort of back to back. So then we could sort of finagle or plan out when she was going to be induced, and then I could have a little bit of time after that. So I got a little bit of time, unlike Chris, who basically had to go straight into clinics and everything, so that I could sort of spend time and with her in the beginning. And then really, I think from there was just kind of hitting into, back into clinics after that. So, I think I got 2.5, 3 weeks, with her. And so that, I think that way, and, fortunately, my wife, my in-laws, so my wife's parents were there. So they were there sort of helping out too. So that was very fortunate because, I think that was probably a lot to sort of deal with in one go. With the boys, I think it was much easier to plan because I was, doing my PhD. I think we basically were able to have a little bit more give when it comes to not having clinical duties to organize. And so I could do a lot more work at home since I wasn't seeing patients.
Yeah, and this is Adam. For me, like I said, I was already in practice, so I already got my feet wet for a good 1.5 2 years before my son came. So I was in a decent routine in that aspect. Actually, with him and my daughter, I had 2 weeks off before they were born and 2 weeks off after. For different reasons. The first time, the 2 weeks before were because I was going to lose those 2 weeks if I didn't use them. And then for Sybil, we were off because we had COVID. So that was a little different. So with Ezra, was off a couple weeks before, which helped with the planning of and being prepared for when Allison went into labor. And then after he was born, I went back to work for about a month. And then I switched jobs to a different practice, still clinical practice, but a different practice. And that's where I was when Sybil was born. And again, we had COVID right before she was born, which was a whole ordeal. But we had a pretty good routine in place at that point, again, being pretty well established in clinic. And then Allison was kind of part-time at that point to be home with the kids. And then we were fortunate enough to have her mom, my mother-in-law is retired, so she would come stay with the kids for a portion of the week as well.
And one thing that was interesting that I was thinking about, like, while y'all were chatting is, like, all of three of y'all, like, as dads, have, like, a pretty traditional setup because you all have wives. Like, as somebody who's gay, like, I would, if I wanted to have kids, I feel like paternity leave is really challenging and super dependent on where you work in the state you're in. Like, did y'all have formal paternity leave?
So this is Adam. So the clinics that I worked at, no, I didn't. I just had to take vacation days there. I will say that I did do a stint with the USDA, which I've talked about in the previous episode. I did not have a child while I worked there. However, it was a newer thing, but they did offer a full 12 weeks paid paternity leave, as well as maternity, which was a really nice benefit. Again, I didn't use that. I didn't have a kid while I was there, but that was one really big benefit there. So that job, yes. Other jobs, when I had my children, no, I just took 2 weeks of vacation time.
This is Chris. I got 2 weeks of paternity leave for both my daughter and my son being born. What we just did is I split it. So I took a week off when they were born, went back to work for a week, and then took another week off after that to kind of spread out the time. And I know my parents and my in-laws would come in and help out with the babies then. So it worked out then. Kind of funny enough, though, for our second one, the day that after she was born and got discharged from the hospital, I got the flu and strep. So I was pretty much in quarantine for the first week. of her.
Jesus.
So
Man.
we have a lot of fun times. And then our third one, we got diagnosed with COVID right before he was born. So which
You and Adam
delayed
Good Lord.
his C-section date because he was getting in because we couldn't do inductions or anything like that. So that threw that back a little bit as well. So he actually would have shared a birthday with Adam potentially. But yeah, so
close.
actually no, that was the second one. Sorry, wrong one, wrong kid. Yeah,
One of them.
but yeah,
I know we all know you have
They
a
all
lot.
blend together.
yeah.
So when it comes to residency, that 2 to 3 week period was sort of what I had for Zoe, and then with the twins, since I was doing my PhD, I think what I'm really thankful about it, was that I was working with, I'm working with, the mentor that I am, who's very supportive. And so she was very much like, and also the boys they were preemies that needed to be at the ICU for the first month. And so with that also, she was very understanding in terms of the, taking basically the rest of that semester to sort of get situated. And so we had some goals that, for me to get done before the boys were born. And then once the boys were born, they basically, we just kind of went, there was just things that I could putter and do from home, and basically got the rest of that semester to sort of work without having to come in, and kind of came back in after the holidays. So that was really lucky. I'd say that is a very unique situation because of the specific PhD program and the mentor that I had. And I would say that that's not a given for any, run of the mill PhD. So that was very fortunate.
This is Brandon. Just for what it's worth, VCA offers both maternity and paternity leave. I think that happened, like that was started to be offered when I was in the middle of working for them as a GP. But I don't know anyone that's specifically taken advantage. I don't know how long that time is for the time off. Just as a question for the dads in particular, but it's something I've thought about myself if I've ever plan to have children down the road. Do either of you or any of you want any of your children to pursue like a similar career path? So in particular in vet med, or in like in Shune's case, like maybe just a PhD. So I'm curious.
One of your degree.
Yeah, just a PhD.
Pick one.
Just a PhD.
Yeah, not all these different things, just one.
I would say that this is Shune. I'll go ahead and start. I'd say if that's sort of the way that they want to go, then okay. But I would be very clear about how challenging it is and all of the difficulties. I'd say that I think talking to some of the older vet dads, they've talked about how either their kids have seen them sort of work as a vet, or they themselves, because they're like second generation vets or whatever, the way that they've seen their dads work, I think that's sort of sufficiently given them ideas about the profession. So I would trust that they'd sort of understand based on what I do and go from there. I think that, especially for me, knowing that the path that I took was very unique and it was sort of, it had its challenges, I think that I would really veer them off of trying to say like, oh, I want to be a vet like dad, and sort of have them really explore different careers and things that they enjoy and really make a decision from there.
This is Adam, and I feel like I've changed my answer with this a lot. So obviously initially, like when I was thinking about being a vet, obviously I wasn't thinking about kids, but if that ever came up or whatever crossed my mind, like, yeah, obviously, like that's what I'm doing. I think it'd be cool for kids to do that. Going through vet school, going through my early years of practice, my answer was hell no. Like, stay away. Don't do it. Don't follow in my footsteps. Learn from my quote unquote mistakes and do something else. Now I'm at a point in my career where I am really happy where I'm at. And I see potential for bright future moving forward. And now, I kind of feel like I'm open to where it's like, if my, kind of like Shune was saying, like if my kids know what that involves and know what that entails, and they see the true aspects of veterinary medicine, because you hear a lot of people, like I have people tell me all the time when they hear I'm a veterinarian, they're like, oh, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Or I know, all my kids and all my cousins and all my sisters want to be veterinarians, and everybody I know wants to be a veterinarian. Like you just hear it all the time. I'm sure you guys hear it too. Like everybody, I feel like that's probably the most common response I get whenever I say I'm a veterinarian. They're like, oh, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. Because I feel like it has like this glamour around it. Like, again, you hear the playing with puppies and kittens all day kind of side of things. But there's so much more people management, and interacting with clients and trying not to get bit by a crazy dog or cat, or there's and the whole not to even mention the whole, kicked by a horse, not to even mention the whole medical side, which is the actual aspect of veterinary medicine. So there's a lot of factors that are kind of behind the scenes. So as long as my kids see that, know what they're getting into, and they still want to pursue that, I'm open to it. Obviously from a financial standpoint, I may still be like, are you sure? But if if you know all the ins and outs, that's what you want to do, sure, go for it.
This is Chris. Similar answer to Adam and Shune is I just support whatever they want to do. But if they thought about it, wanted to do it, it just depends. I mean, you have some kids, that are more, they just seem more medically inclined or scientific in how they want to do things. And like I have one of my kids, like looks at all like the crazy photos of dogs and cats that I have on there, and she like loves it. And then I have the other ones just like, don't show me those because I don't like them. So again, it's all just personalities of things, but I wouldn't be against it. But again, I would also make sure that they understood everything going into it, and especially the costs of getting into veterinary medicine. I think that's a big one that I didn't realize how expensive it was going to be, and didn't really put that number to like have face value until kind of recently after I graduated. I was like, oh, that's a really big number. So, you got to think about it beforehand, but again, whatever they want to do, I'll support them.
Yeah, I think everybody gave like really excellent answers, and all of your opinions are super valid. I kind of wish like there's this, maybe like on Instagram, I think I saw like some creators mentioning like how like as a profession we've kind of like dogged the up and coming people because there's such an energy of like, don't do it. And the reality is like, well, if we keep that up, no one's going to do it. There's not going to be anybody to replace us when we retire. So like, what kind of energy are we given as mentors and dads? But it's also fair if you don't want your specific children to do it. That's super valid. But I love the energy of like, well, if they want to, fantastic. And if they don't, great. And, kind of guiding them on, what you think is best is super fair.
I think I will say, and Chris and Adam, you can chime in and say agree or disagree, or just, I think it's been encouraging to see at least some of the changes that are, and hopefully some of the more supportive messages about having a family and having work-life balance, which I think is helpful, I think, when it comes to going from a absolutely not, I think there's a landscape that is trying to change when it comes to that, to be more supportive of parents, for example. But I think it's obviously got a long way to go before, and I think that would be helpful, I think, when it comes to having future generations, like our kids, for example, having, pursuing a veterinary career. So hopefully, and let's see, Chris, as your eldest being 8, so what, 23? So in 15 years, hopefully that changes.
I'll let you know.
That's crazy.
To be determined.
So to kind of get towards the end of this episode, I wanted to ask, and again, it kind of depends. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. But since this episode was recorded before Father's Day, I'm interested to know, and we'll have to follow up later on another episode, but for the dads here today, what is something you hope to receive for Father's Day? And maybe in the future we'll follow up and see if you actually got your wish.
You know what I want from my kids for Father's Day? I want them all to be healthy. None of them get sick.
Good answer. Good answer.
That would be great.
Fine.
I mean, this is kind of cheating since we're gonna be going on a trip during Father's Day, so that's what I want.
No, that's cheating. No.
It's for us to be having a fun Father's Day somewhere. So
That's still a good answer. It's not cheating because you don't ever know what's going to happen in life. So just like having like the wish to be like a smooth, sweet ass
there we
trip.
go. Smooth
I
trip.
think it's
That's
valid.
that's as smooth as it can get. I like it.
Yeah, I'm into it. Branson.
A golf simulator.
I can't.
This
speak.
is Adam. Golf simulator would be sweet. I just got a new set of golf clubs for my birthday, so a golf simulator would be sweet. In case you're listening, kids, but hint, hint. But no, I'm kind of with Chris. I mean, we aren't going anywhere, but I think more of like an outing type situation. Having an experience, because I know I work a lot. Allison works a lot. The kids are in school all the time, so we don't get we have the weekends and at least Sundays. We call them Sunday Fun Days, where we try to make it family oriented. Ezra has a Sunday Fun Day shirt that he loves to wear on Sundays. But yeah, some sort of like experience type thing, because I feel like those stick with me and those are going to stick with the kids long beyond anything else.
Adam, one of your kids is going to be listening to this like 10, 20 years from now, and you're just going to randomly get a golf simulator.
Never too late.
Because they went into vet med. Shune, as always, thank you always for coming back and seeing us.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me share some dad jokes. Should I leave with one more?
Jesus Christ. Go.
What does Mama Volcano say to Baby Volcano?
What?
I lava you. I think that's pretty relevant.
Is there anywhere you would like listeners to find you on social media so they can hear some more bad dad jokes?
Hey now, that was rude. But I
said what I said.
Well, if you want, I've got a professional Instagram page at kimura.vet on Instagram, like I said. But otherwise, I'm not that prolific like you all. So that's about it for me.
Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Dogtor Bros.
If you would like to support us, please share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Would you like to influence our next episode? We love hearing your opinions and thoughts. Your comments may be our next topic.
Please leave us suggestions via email at thedoctorbros@gmail.com, DM us at thedoctorbros on Instagram, or leave us comments on our posts. Again, this is Brandon. You can reach me at Dr. Mason IM on Instagram.
And this is Chris, and you can reach me on Instagram at dr.chrishernandez.
And this is Jeff. You can find me on Instagram at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff.
And this is Adam. You can reach me on Instagram at Dr. Adam DVM. That's DRADAMDVM.